My name is Anira, and today I will be the master of ceremony for the fourth day of this summer program. First of all, praise and thanks to be God Almighty for the abundance and also the grace and joy that all of us can gather in this event in the good health. And before we begin, let me read our schedule today. In the opening, we have ice-breaking activities, and then we will watching our friends' video introduction video, and we have a quiz for the last topic. And for the main session, we have a presentation from Professor Stephen Wong from Chinese Hong Kong University, and he will talk about physical activity and energy expenditure. And afterward, we will have a question and answer session. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we will begin with our first agenda. And first, I would like to inform you that we already have about 22 introduction videos from our friends, and we will still waiting for the other participant to send their introduction videos. So I would like to invite here one of our students to maybe talk more about them, and I will invite Asha Severatenam. Hello, Asha.
Hi, Angira.
Hi. Okay. Can you tell me about yourself more, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Okay, my name is Asha. So I'm from MSU Malaysia. So basically,
hello.
I got to know about this program through one of my friends. So she told me that there's a summer program, and fortunately, we have summer holidays after my final exam, and I'm doing Bachelor's of Education TESOL. So I'm in my first year.
Okay.
And I really love this program because I love things about healthy lifestyle and workout. So when I saw the title of It's Healthy, so it really attracted me to get into this program. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Asha. And for a second time, would you like to pick numbers for me? So from 1 until 22, which one do you like?
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, thank you, Asha. Okay, so we'll watch our friends' videos. Is number 2. We have Neil Henrik Antigua. Do we have Neil here today? Oh, I think he's not already here, but it's okay. Just watch his videos today. Okay, let's see. Okay, do you see the script?
Good day everyone, I am Neil Hendrich L. Antigua, an incoming third year college at Philippine Normal University, taking a Bachelor of Physical and Health Education. My hobbies are cycling and traveling, though it's kinda same thing because when I ride my bike it also feels like I am traveling because I go to some beautiful places here in the Philippines. And the reason why I joined in this program is that since I want to become a teacher, I want to gain knowledge from this program. I want to guide my students and help my future students that can improve their everyday life. And to prevent having a sedentary behavior, just make yourself busy. Explore things, do valuable things, but never forget to have fun. Okay? Bye.
So we have our friends' videos, and she said that don't forget to have fun and keep our schedule busy so we can keep healthy as well. So before Neil is not here, I would like invite okay, let me see. Nur Istifaya. Nur Istifaya, are you here? Hello, Nur Istifaya. Okay, maybe she's a little bit shy. Okay, let's try another one. I want to talk with Wali B. Espino. Hello, Wali. I hope everyone is not shy today. Do we have Wali B. Espino here? I see his name here, but I don't know if he with us today. Okay, I don't know where is he. Anyone wants to join us today? Maybe talk a little more about themselves. Oh, still having a connection problem. Okay, it's okay. So let's have Mary Joy. Mary Joy.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. My name is Merjo F. Taginod and I'm 20 years old from Philippine Normal University. I am incoming third year student this academic year, taking up a bachelor's degree in physical and health education. And
Okay.
jumping rope. And also I'm a part of our university varsity club.
Wow, that's great. So, Mary, would you like to pick a number like Asha did, but except number 2, of course, from 1 to 22?
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay. Thank you, Mary Joy.
Thank you.
So let me see what we have for number 8. Wow, what a coincidence. So we have a video for Asha here for number 8. Okay, let us see.
Hi everyone, my name is Asha. Currently, I'm pursuing Bachelor's of Education, Basal, teaching English as second language, honors in MSU, Malaysia, Management and Science University, Malaysia. And I'm a first year student. I just completed my foundation in Basal. And the reason why I joined this summer program is actually to widen my networking, and I believe that networking will create more opportunities in future. And second, I wanted to enhance my knowledge and skills, and as a lifelong learner, I love this program because I gain new knowledge. And some of the ways to increase our physical activity and our behavior sedentary, it's by regular workouts. And this is what I learned in a few sessions of this program, and I really love this program so much. So let's work hard and be healthy.
Okay, that is introduction video from Asha. Okay, she remind us to give to have a networking here. So I hope all of you can be make more friends here. So who knows that maybe we will meet to each other in other countries and say hello, something like that. And also today, I think enough for the sharing with introduction videos. And as usual, we'll invite you to join the quiz here. And Pak Wildan already, okay, I hope Pak Wildan already shares the link. Would you please share the link, Mr. Wildan? Actually, we haven't heard your voice yet. Hello,
Okay,
Mr. Ludan.
Okay, already share.
Okay. Okay, for everyone, I would like to invite you to click that link that Mr. Widan already shared with you. And you can enter the code that appears in the screen. And we already have some students here that already joined. Thank you so much. And this quiz is regarding with the last topic from Professor Selina Ho. So I hope you can get more understanding with this quiz. Okay, we have more coming up. Join. Please, maybe there is another participant that already joined. You can just click this link in the chat room and enter the join code that appears on the screen. And then if you already join, all of you, we can start the quiz. Maybe I will have you, we will give you about 1 minute to join this link, and then we'll start after it. And also, in the meantime, I would like to inform you to more give pay attention for this material today that will be given by Professor Stephen Wong, because at the end of this today's program, we will ask you to give a brief summary, maybe about the topic. So we have about 20 seconds left. For participants that not joined yet, please just click this link that we provided in the chat room. You can join with type your name and then enter the join code. So we have Paul here, Asha. I'm sorry. Okay, I think 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, and Mr. Widan, you can start the quiz. Please have fun, everyone. So all of the question here is related to Professor Selina Ho presentation. I hope all of you can answer this question. So we only have 27 players. So for the participant who not already joined, please just click this link in the chat room so you can join with us. So we have Ariana here, Ariana, I'm sorry, John, Carlos, Jimmy, Maricol, and please for another participant that or not join this quiz, just click the link in the chat room and you can type your name and enter the join code, and then you can go with us join this quiz. So I hope you're familiar with these quizzes. So as you can see, each question contains a time for you to choose the correct answer. So if you miss the time, so the answer will automatically wrong. So please pay attention to the time and make the answer as fast as you can. Okay, we have only 5 questions here. So in this quiz, we will know how much your understanding about the last topic. Maybe you can get an understanding with this quiz, and you will know what you missed or something. Yeah, it's really good. We have 32 players now. So again, if still participant that will not join this yet, just click the link in the chat room and you can join with us. Yeah, we have 20% that already done the quiz, so we're waiting for another 12. Okay, can we hear how many participants have already done the quiz? Okay, we're still waiting for another 9 participants. Okay, we still have about 5 participants, I guess. We'll wait for John Joseph, Kenneth, and Mr. Ridwan here. Mr. Wildan, can you scroll up? Yeah, we still wait for 5% here. Maybe we give about 1 more minute and then we can end the quiz. Okay, Mr. Wildan, you could just end the quiz.
Okay.
So we'll see. Okay. Congratulations to Matthew, Ariane, and John Carlos. So this is the review for our understandings for last topic. So it's okay. We can see there's still some of you that maybe not quite understand about the last topic, but we will have a review again after this. And Mr. Widan, you could just stop share, okay? Okay. Actually, we have 4 more minutes. Let me see if Professor Stephen here. Okay, Professor Stephen is not here. Okay. So maybe our committee here will assign you to join the breakout rooms, maybe for 2 minutes at least. And in these games, I would like to know each other more about the other participants, so you can get more friends here.
No, that is for work, not just sa mga coin. Ito na yung weekend.
Okay. For each for each breakout room will contain about 2 persons. So I would like all of you to talk to each other and then ask their name or their hobbies, her or his favorite movie, something like that. Oh, Professor Stephen Wong is already here. Hello, Professor.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. So maybe we can just continue our games in the tomorrow. So thank you for the participation in the quiz session and the ice breaking session. So for the next agenda, I will invite our Master of Ceremony today, Miss Mesa Rahmi Stefani. Please, you may guide the session.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bu Anira. And good morning, Prof. Stephen Wong.
Hi, morning.
Okay, I will guide you in this session. And all participants, welcome to the main session in the summer program day 4. In this session, we'll have 60 minutes for the presentation and 30 minutes for question and answer today. The speakers today is Professor Stephen Wong from Chinese Hong Kong University. He will deliver a topic about physical activity and energy expenditure. And please take a note. If you have any question, you can deliver your question to the chat room or question directly with raise your hand in question and answer session. Without any further ado, please welcome Professor Wong. Professor Wong, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So let me share my screen now.
Okay, you have a problem to share?
Yeah, I got a message. The host disabled participant screening. So you have to let me share the screen.
Okay. I will hold on. Okay, you are a co-host now, and you may have
and do it now.
Able to share screen. Okay.
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yes, we are.
And it's moving, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Going on.
So thank you very much, and happy to see you all again. And within this hour, I want to focus on a few things: physical activity and energy expenditure. You know, actually, this topic is a big topic. If you are familiar with exercise physiology, it covers the theory, the method, and the assessment. So actually, within an hour, I can try to give you I hope, the most interesting information regarding physical activity, exercise, energy expenditure, and some of the current assessment, especially what happened during COVID-19. All right. So some of you may be familiar with the more about laboratory testing, and the other, maybe some of you may be more familiar with some small device like pedometer or accelerometers. All right, but it really depends on the target and the setting. But I try to give a more holistic view how to assess energy expenditure and physical activity. All right. So some background information about physical activity or exercise. All right. We talk about the exercise intensity, which is one of the most important factor in exercise prescription. You remember exercise duration, the frequency, and the exercise intensity are those important components in prescribing an exercise arrangement. But in fact, in terms of physical activity and health consequence, the exercise intensity is a determining factor. All right, so that's why in the you remember in the WHO PA guidelines and other national recommendation, from time to time, it seems that the focus rests on the exercise intensity, right? You remember we keep talking about the moderate and vigorous physical activity, the MVPA, between 3 to 6 or even higher. So this is the method we use now, trying to quantify the PA intensity. And you remember I gave this definition. When we say one metabolic equivalent, the MET, 1 MET, that is equal to the energy expenditure at rest, right? For amount of 3.5 milliliter kg body weight per minute of oxygen, right? This is the amount of the energy expenditure we have to use at rest. So this is 1 MET, and if we multiply this MET value when we exercise, start from very slow walking up to running, so you just simply multiply the intensity. So at the high end of this exercise intensity, you can imagine if you are running at a high speed, the MET value can go up to 12 or even 15. All right, this is the common intensity. I hope you can remember. But in fact, I'm sure some of you take the exercise physiology course will still remember the oxygen uptake, right, and the heart rate, maximal heart rate. These are all common methods being used in a laboratory setting or in a field setting. The coach, athletic coach, like to monitor the exercise intensity for the athlete with heart rate monitor, right? So if they trained in a relatively high intensity interval training, they like to apply a heart rate, maximal heart rate for 80%. And sometimes to be more specific, a researcher like to apply the heart rate reserve. So these are the methods, including the oxygen uptake reserve and oxygen consumption, the VO2 max relative exercise intensity, the VO2 max percentage, heart rate, maximal, as well as metabolic equivalent. So I hope you have some background on this for exercise intensity. Of course, there are strengths and limitations in each of the method. So as I mentioned, if you have a very good laboratory facilities, of course, the most precise and accurate measurement would still be the maximum oxygen uptake and the relative exercise intensity using the percentage of the VO2 max. But if you just have a heart rate monitor, that would be fine on a few occasions. So these are the common activities at different category of physical activity. So for very light activities, now you know the cutoff is anything below 3 MET, like walking, household and occupation. When you're washing dishes, you have hopefully you can stand up, right? Ironing your clothing, preparing food in the kitchen. Well, the exercise intensity is very low, just between 2 to 2.5. And some leisure time sport as well. The intensity is actually very slow, below 3 MET. So that's why these activities are classified as light physical activities. Whereas the moderate include all of these activities you are quite familiar. And I bet most of us are largely involved in this kind of physical activities between 3 to 6 MET, right? And the definition for vigorous is higher than 6 MET when the exercise intensity go up. So I hope you can remember this level of activities. Right. Classification of PA intensity. I asked a question here. The same metabolic level, but actually the exercise intensity, the relative exercise intensity is it the same or different? Right. You should think about this question. When I ask you to exercise or take a intensity between 3 to 6, well, the MET level both of us are taking seems to be the same, but actually the relative exercise intensity in terms of the relative exercise intensity in terms of the percentage VO2 max may be different. When you look at these figures, you can see the difference mainly because of your age. All right. Now, most of you are students who probably between 20 to 39. Now, the light physical activity is what we have just described, between 3 to 6 MET, right? This is the MET value. But when you try to compare this exercise, the MET value, with someone like me, okay? Well, the descriptor here is middle age, stands for that. So it's 2.4 to 4.4. Now, if you get a very old professor who is close to 80, you can see this MET value drop significantly. So it seems that simply prescribing the exercise intensity as MET, as now we commonly use, physiologically speaking, right, in terms of the energy use, is actually not exactly the same. But I think, of course, these are the physiological basis for prescribing the exercise intensity that is still acceptable, taken into account of age. But I hope you can understand, right? When the Surgeon General report in 1996 from the US CDC recommend this exercise intensity using the MET value, you should understand that actually the age play a factor in this recommendation. So most of us now will follow this prescription and understand the classification of physical activity, right? I just described anything higher than below 1.5 is sedentary behavior. And from 1.5, 1.6 here to 2.9 is light category. And the recommendation for moderate physical activity is 3 to 5.95 or 6. Okay, anything higher than 6 is hard and very hard, higher than 9 met. But actually, age play a factor. So in other words, if you go back to this question, same met level, yes, but actually the relative exercise intensity is a little bit different. All right, so I hope you can understand that age play a factor. In other words, if you want to follow my recommendation and ask your parents who are, all right, around 65 of age, probably you have to slow down a little bit for them. All right, exercise intensity moderate, still 3.5, 3 to 6, between 3 to 6. But for you, maybe you find it much easier to pick up the pace. That's why when you walk with your parents or grandparents, the match value seems to be close, but actually you are exercising at a lower percentage VO2 max, the relative exercise intensity. I think it is quite understandable, right? I just want to give you this information in respect of the physiological responses. Okay, how do we measure the energy expenditure? In laboratory setting, we rely on a method of calorimetry. What is calorimetry? This is the measurement of the amount of heat given off by an organism, and it is used to determine the total energy expenditure. So we have direct and indirect calorimetry. And if you want to be very, very precise, you can use the doubly labeled water, but of course it is very expensive and rely on very sophisticated laboratory equipment and analysis. So, so unless you are working in a very high-end laboratory or in hospital, otherwise this is not a common method. But you know, doubly labeled water actually is the gold standard in measuring energy expenditure. And but the isotope is very expensive. We did some study a long time ago with children, and the subject have to stay in a confined environment or in a free living environment. After consuming the doubly labeled water, and we measure their urine. Yeah, so this is a very expensive method, rarely used outside the laboratory setting or hospital. So this is a direct measurement. For indirect measurement, there are many different methods, like what I said, the heart rate monitor or other small device. Before we go on, I think we have to clarify some basic concept about metabolic rate. This metabolic rate is defined as the energy we use, right, at different stage. So even at rest, like you listening to my lecture, sitting comfortably in the classroom or in your bedroom, or like me standing in front of my computer, we are still spending a small amount of energy, right? You need energy to maintain your physiological functions without your knowledge, even at rest, even you are sleeping, even though the energy is very small, the amount of energy used is very small. So if you are not moving at all, right? As I just said, you still need energy to maintain your life. That is the basal metabolic rate. the minimum energy required for essential physiological function. So this amount of energy is approximately, depends on your body size and age and sex, is still require at least 1,200 kilocalories. All right, this is the basal metabolic rate. I think these figures is very interesting, especially for those people, female or male, who want to follow a very, very low caloric diet, because people are very fond of controlling their body weight or reduce their body weight whatsoever. So some of you may simply buy the very low caloric diet, the liquid diet from the pharmacy. I think this is freely, this is commercially available all the time and even promoted to us if we are very conscious about our body weight, isn't it? So try to look at this kind of very low caloric diet. Some of them just provide 500 kilocalorie. So in other words, this amount of energy will not be enough to maintain your basal metabolic rate. So the good thing, of course, is that the salesman will tell you, well, you will see a very quick effect by consuming this kind of diet, liquid diet. Within just 1 or 2 or 3 days, you will see that you lost your body weight and you become what you want. But actually, if you look at this definition, this amount of energy is not even enough to maintain your basal metabolic rate. In other words, as a health educator, professor and students should know that, well, this is not a very healthy diet, not a healthy practice to follow, right? Even your basal metabolic rate require 12,000. Now, if you are an athlete, very physically active, and you are in the higher end of this range, 2,000 kilocalories or even 2,400, well, I think that is really unhealthy practice. You should not follow. All right, so try to understand this basal metabolic rate, the basic energy requirement for essential physiological function. And the basal metabolic rate is the resting metabolic rate is the minimum energy required for normal daily activity. So on top of this basal metabolic rate, you probably need another 500 or 600 energy to maintain your daily life, even you are not doing any strenuous physical exercise. So in other words, for those teachers and professors like us who just stay in the office all the time, your energy expenditure actually is not high, all right? You are not doing any exercise, it's just resting metabolic rate. What are those factors affecting basal metabolic rate? First, as I mentioned, if you are small and you are not trained, okay, you don't have a very strong muscle, the fat-free mass play a role here. So if you are very muscular and your basal metabolic rate will be high. That's why even compared to basal metabolic rate between gender, right, male spend more energy, mainly because we carry more muscle, all right? The more body surface area, the higher the basal metabolic rate, right? The baby and children have a higher body surface area. That's why they have a high basal metabolic rate. And age, as I mentioned, play a role in determining our basal metabolic rate. So when you age, the basal metabolic rate will gradually decrease. That's why after 50, you find that actually you don't have to eat a lot, right? And the basal metabolic rate will drop. The basal metabolic rate will increase when you are increasing your body temperature, right? So when you have temperature, you feel more hungry, and basal metabolic rate will increase. And same to a stressful situation, and that may explain why actually if you are very tense, you are preparing for your exam, actually the basal metabolic rate increase. But why don't you lose weight? I think under this stressful situation, some of you may also indulge on snacking, right? Because when we're preparing for examination, yes, it is very stressful. In order to cope with this stress, we have a lot of sugary drink, chocolate around us all the time. So that's why you don't see the drop of your body weight, and that you may see the opposite result. Well, high level of thyroxine and epinephrine, the higher the basal metabolic rate. That's why if you are very stressful and nervous, the basal metabolic rate will go up as well. What are those factors influencing energy cost? The type of activity, the activity level, your age, whether you are male or female, your body size, body composition, the intensity, duration, and efficiency of movement. These are all the factors influencing our energy cost, right? I think they are very clear here, but you may not understand what efficiency of movement. I think I can say something about it. And because this is also related to another area we are interested on coaching science. You know, the purpose of coaching or training, to be more specific, training is to enhance your form and function, right? So you use less energy to execute the skills. Why the athletes have to perform the same drill again and again, right? When they become more efficient, in a sense that they can perform the same set of skill with less energy. So the economy of this movement improve. All right, this is the what we mean the efficiency of movement, and that's why I just read an article in the lab about the Olympic gold medal winner for marathon, and this runner just used less than 2 hours to finish the marathon distance. And one of the main factors, of course, these runners, from the physiological standpoint, I think it's very classic: high VO2 max, high lactate threshold, and running economy. This is the concept of efficiency of movement. The body posture, and the movement is using very, very small amount of energy when he runs. So if this apply to a well-trained athlete, that explains why this person can avoid the premature or fatigue. All right, you use less energy. Okay, so you can postpone your fatigue. So these are those factors influencing how much energy you will use day in, day out. How do we measure the energy? Well, in laboratory, we use this so-called bomb calorimeter. You know, you put a piece of food like apple, banana, or anything here. This is the sample capsule, and burn it and see how much heat this piece of food can generate. All right. So if you regard this as our body, human body, and we consume the food, and the food being digested, right, and the nutrients being metabolized to provide the energy, and because of the contraction of the muscle, your body temperature rise. Isn't it the same as a living calorimeter? I think they are, right, almost the same. Of course, there's what happened within our body is much more complicated, right? Affected by a lot of factors, but the basic principle would still be the same. So as I mentioned, there are direct and indirect calorimetry. So for the direct calorimetry, we have, as I mentioned, the doubly labeled water, or we can use the calorimeter, like the like the picture I just showed you. And for the indirect method, we also have a confined environment, like a respiration chamber. So in some hospital, if you try to apply this method, because this is a chamber purposefully built for measuring energy expenditure, so you can imagine this, you need a high cost to build, run, and maintain these facilities. But
mo kabala ka pwede man ta mag-on view naman sa YouTube.
Sorry?
It's okay.
It's okay, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is the respiration chamber. I remember I visit such a chamber in a hospital in Cambridge when I was a PhD student. So usually for university facilities, this is not a common facilities for studying energy expenditure, because this is just too complicated, right, to keep a chamber like this unless you are working in a clinical setting. So we rely more on the open circuit, like the expired gas analysis. We use this kind of gas analyzer, quite common in an exercise physiology laboratory, or even you have this portable gas analyzer, right, to monitor the energy expenditure outdoor. Well, you are aware of this popular equipment like the cycloergometer here, right? The cycloergometer. So these are very common facilities in laboratory setting. But what ergometer means, or ergometry implied? Ergo, ERGO, this term means work. So ergometer, as the term suggests, is a device designed to measure how much work you can generate. All right. So ergometry is the science concerning the measurement of work. Now you see a lot of equipment like this, but not all of them are actually ergometers. Okay. So this is quite common equipment, as I mentioned. It tries to measure the work and power, but you need a lot of background information to understand what the data you collect means, right? And you should also understand what are the limitations of this kind of measurement. But nowadays, even for a sports science major, rarely the student or the professor would spend time going into the details, mainly because most of this equipment are automated nowadays. All right, you just plug in the tube, and like what you see here, the subject inhale the oxygen, and you measure the expire gas, and the machine will give you all the data, right? So unless you are really interested in the measurement, and you go to the appendix at the back of the textbook, otherwise you just don't understand. The student won't be very interested in knowing the detail. How come the oxygen inhale and expire gas? What are the differences, and so on and so forth. So, but I think if you are willing to spend time on that chapters, you can still learn a lot about this the process and the gas analysis. So I probably think this picture is a bit outdated, because nowadays all of this monocycle ergometer is much more advanced. But you know, this one is used for some sprinting exercise, because you can holding this weight, right, with a more exact weight. You know how much weight to be put on this carriage in order to generate the friction. And for those exercise in the past I participate, if you want to you know, ask the subject to sprint at a certain weight for a specific period of time, that is very good, because you are holding the belt. When you ask them to prepare for sprinting, you suddenly drop the belt and generate a friction for 10 seconds or 30 seconds. You know, you can have this kind of control. But nowadays, if with all those equipment automated, it's quite difficult to apply this particular step in controlling the friction. So this is the beauty of this old model anyway. I just want to show you these common facilities for gas analyzing analysis. You see the gas analyzer for oxygen and carbon dioxide, and a treadmill. Of course, maybe in your laboratory, you have a more high-tech treadmill from a very good company. So these are the old facilities in our lab, right? But we already changed this one. So you see, if you are willing to spend more money, you have a treadmill allowing the subject to running uphill. And in fact, nowadays, most of the treadmills from laboratory setting come with a downhill running function. So the subject not only running upward, they can running downward, right? So and the size of the treadmill actually is also large, enabling a disabled athlete to carry their wheelchair to push on the treadmill, right? So I think these facilities is very common in many laboratories nowadays. Now, this is a swimming film, not very common, I would say, in most of the university. We took this photo from a textbook reporting the measurement in Colorado Springs. So you can see the swimmer follow the same procedures to be collected the expired gas through this tubing and measured by the analyzer beside the pool. What happened with this swimmer is that when the measurement is being taken, actually the swimmer swim against the current generated by this machine. All right. So that just like a treadmill, but there's no treadmill, no running belt. Instead, the current is generated by this machine in the front. So the stronger the current, obviously the swimmer spend more energy to swim forward against the current. And at the same time, you can see there are some window on the side, right? So the coach or the experimenter can go beneath this platform and observe the movement of the swimmers. So you can imagine this is quite a sophisticated facilities. So applying this indirect calorimetry to measure the VO2 max is very common because we are very interested in knowing the maximum oxygen uptake of a person or athlete, right? And if you want to measure this VO2 max, you need this type of equipment. And with this measurement, you know the maximum oxygen uptake or the relative exercise intensity, and you can also calculate the lactate threshold of the subject, and you can collect the information in terms of their economy and efficiency, right? A lot of data can be measured and generated from this kind of measurement. What are the limitations? Well, as you can imagine, this is a whole body measurement. Actually, it's the sum of all active tissue in body, not just contracting skeletal muscle. All right, so you just cannot pinpoint what the lower limb, what energy the lower limb are generating. Well, because this is a whole body measurement. As I mentioned repeatedly, this type of measurement requires sophisticated and expensive equipment, and as such, the measurements also are highly sensitive, right? That may cause a lot of measurement error in the process. You have to be very precise, okay, and careful in carrying out this kind of measurement, okay? And it also causes a lot of burden for the subject because they require to wear apparatus on face or in their mouth, okay? Now, going back to the PA recommendation, now you understand some background how to measure the energy expenditure. And coming back to this recommendation and MET value, so you remember the exercise level of different type of physical activity increase, and you can gain the benefit of the exercise and the physical activity, right? The higher the exercise intensity, the higher the MET value, and more benefit may be gained. So you can see these are the health outcome: decrease of obesity, blood pressure, diabetics, and reduction of the risk of cardiovascular disease, so and so forth. All right. However, when you continue to increase the exercise intensity, you have to be careful, and because at the end of this spectrum, you can see that you may pay a price as a very serious athlete, you know. So that's why, you know, for general population, we just described recommended physical activity level between 3 to 6 in order to gain this health outcome, rather than hoping everyone to become a very well-trained or world-class athlete, because you need to pay a price for that. All right. you may develop sport injuries when you are pushing yourself to such a high intensity. So these are the risks, especially for those people who are unaware of any congenital or inherited heart disease. As you remember, you remember in the last lecture during the Q&A, I remember we have a question about this, right? So what are the the purpose of our recommendation? I think this slide gives us some additional information from the previous slide. Now, if you are health conscious like me, we try to be physically active in order to gain the health and metabolic fitness. All right. So this is your purpose. You don't have to work very hard, but keep a physically active lifestyle and regularly work out. Of course, if you are more willing to spend more time and you are highly active, your physical fitness level is even higher. All right. So this is the health purpose. Now, if you want to gain a high level of fitness as an athlete, you can see here, you have to do more in order to gain the fitness goal as an athlete. All right. So that's why we have different purpose, fellow students. So for the general population, like I keep mentioning, our parents, our friends, grandparents, I think this health benefit would be the goal we try to achieve. But if you are young, you are in the college or university team, national team even, well, the fitness goal have to maintain, right? Because the goals are different. Now, let us spend some time on physical inactivity. This is the definition provided by the Sedentary Behavioral Research Network, also run by, organized by Professor Mark Tremblay, who is the president of the Active Healthy Kids Global Alliance, of which Indonesia and Hong Kong are also members. And both of us are producing our report card at the moment, right? So Professor Mark Tremblay with other colleagues have set up this Sedentary Behavior Research Network, and this is the definition provided by the network. For physical inactivity, it means an insufficient physical activity level to meet the present physical activity recommendation, which is for toddler, right, or baby, young children. That means less than 3 hours of physical activity for this baby. And for children, less than 60 minutes, because the recommendation is to expect the children to be physically active more than 60 minutes per day of MEPA, you remember. And for adult, 150 minutes per week. So in other words, probably 30 minutes per week of MEPA per day. So if they are not able to meet the PA guidelines, they can be described as physically inactive. So this concept is different from being sedentary. So they are two different concepts, as you can see. Again, from the Sedentary Behavioral Research Network, this is the definition given in 2012. Any waking behavior categorized by an energy expenditure less than 1.5 MET while in a sitting like what you're doing now, or a reclining posture, all right? Reclining posture, just lying on a crouch. So when you are doing this kind of behavior, sitting, the energy expenditure is very low, less than 1.5, all right? So I don't have to give you an example because, as I said, you are watching the computer now. So use of electronic device is a very common behavior for most of us. Look at this spectrum. On the left, the human movement spectrum we just described in these two lectures, from sleep up to vigorous intensity exercise higher than 6. And on the right, what we try to achieve is to reduce the sedentary behavior by performing more light intensity exercise, right? You remember what I suggest you to do, or doing this with your friends or your parents, right? Reduce the sedentary behavior by moving this part to the light category, walking, all right? So the total energy expenditure for this part, I can't exaggerate, is still very small, but it would help, all right? Because the total energy expenditure for the whole day will increase. So highly active people can also be highly sedentary. I think this statement is very interesting and worth pondering, why active people can also be highly sedentary. This is the example. I think this is very common for many professional and maybe a professor. Your professor follow my guidelines to take up this 30 minutes physical activity, right? Strictly follow the guidelines. So in the morning, before they go back to office, purposeful exercise for 30 minutes. But throughout the day, right, this professional drive his car back to office, work in front of the computer, and after going back home, watch television for 4 hours, not very hardworking, right? So before he go to bed at 11, this person spent almost 16 hours, right, on sitting and very light behavior. So this may be the result of this person in terms of energy expenditure, the MET value. You can see here. This is the active non-crouch potato for the red line, and this adult can be described as the active crouch potato. What it means is, for these 30 minutes physical activity or exercise, right, he can be considered as meeting the PA guidelines, right? However, throughout the day, you can see the behavior actually are very sedentary. When compared to someone like perhaps me, I also perform 30 minutes walking or cycling, right, meet the guidelines. But throughout the day, my life is quite ambulatory. I'm moving around, walking up the stair. I walk to the other side of the campus, so and so forth. So you can see I am the active non-couch potato. Okay, so this is what we try to persuade people to follow, instead of meeting the guidelines, but spend most of the time being physically inactive throughout the day. All right, so try to remember these meaningful figures. Now, if you can become an active crouch potato, you have purposeful exercise, but at the same time, very active, physically active lifestyle. You can see here the difference. If you are taking this active way, for example, getting up and changing a channel and avoiding using the remote controller, I think this is difficult, right? Or standing for free time, 10 minutes call when you talk on the phone, or like me, I'm giving a lecture, I'm standing up, or 30 minutes of ironing, rather than asking your friends, your sister, or your mate to do this for you. Well, look at the difference, right? Ironing take up a lot of energy for 30 minutes and trying to touch the screen without using the remote controller, right, is 3 kilocalories. Now, if you are doing the washing yourself, washing the car, instead of driving it to the gas station and use the machine, of course, you pay some money. Then you look at the difference. Washing the car actually is quite physical. 300 kilocalories. You are walking the dog. It should be walking, right? Walking the dog for 30 minutes, 125. You walk to the bus stop, 60 kilocalories. Walk 1 minute, talk 3 minutes. You see that you can see the differences you can accumulate in terms of the energy expenditure, right? Try to talk to going to the shopping mall to buy something instead of using the online shopping, all right? Parking and walking inside, walking to pay, giving lecture. I think this is me. For an hour, I use 70 kilocalories. You sit tight for my lectures, you need less than half. So you can see the difference of energy use between this type of behavior. Now, going back to the previous slide, now you understand the total energy you can use, or instead of merely meeting the PA guidelines for both of them, this kind of lifestyle, right, is the main goal for all of us, right? Now, before I close, I want to spend some time on the PA assessment, which is similar and shares some basic concept with the first part of the concept of calorimetry, but the purpose and the method are a little bit different, right? So the measurement of PA, the physical activity and sedentary behavior, is fundamental to research, because if you know the data, it will enable us to formulate a workable policy and practice. So it would also enable us to understand the subpopulation and high-risk group, for example, outdoor workers, right? Or school children, or office worker, so on and so forth. And it will also help us to determine the correlate and determinant of any testing intervention. Because when we design the intervention, we should know, right, exactly how the intervention can help increase the physical activities. So at an individual level, the purpose of this assessment include that we try to detect the change in an individual health and or behavior. And secondly, it can also determine the effect of any change in physical activity behavior. So we know the change of the physical activity level. At a population level, measurement of physical activity can help us understand the relationship between PA and sedentary behavior and a range of outcomes. Well, the health outcome like heart disease, diabetics, and so on and so forth. We can also monitor the PA level and sedentary behavior in a specific population. So, for example, in your country, you can, follow the children below 12 years of age. And to understand the correlate and determinant of physical activity, the amount of dose of both behavior in order to influence the specific health parameters, to evaluate the impact and effectiveness of health promotion programs designed to increase PA or decrease sedentary behavior, right? You want to know the impact and the effectiveness, whether the promotion program is working or not. You have to measure the change of PA and develop strong evidence for broad initiative in health promotion policy and practice. So you need this kind of information. So for subjective measurement like diary or logbook or recall, these are the subjective measurement. These measurements rely on a person recalling or remembering which activities they participate in or recalling their perception of the intensity of the session. And the subjective measures are useful for measuring activity level of large groups and are low cost. I think these are the beauty of this subjective measurement. But as the term suggests, right, it is subjective. And you can imagine the limitation of this. If you are asking someone to recall 24 hours or even 7 days, there are bound to be a lot of errors, right? So on the one hand, you can work with a large group of people at low cost. You design the questionnaire or logbook, right? But on the other hand, you have to be very cautious in interpreting the data. Okay, this you need to know the pro and cons. And the objective measure include direct observation. Direct observation, there are many methods in this category of observation, but you can imagine it's very time consuming. You send in the observer, trained observer, into a PE class with a very detailed design logbook and observe the student, how they move. So this direct observation is very good, but very labor intensive. You can also use the accelerometer or pedometer, okay? So I think the question commonly asked is, which method is more suitable for small group of people and which method is more cost effective? It really depends. Look at the bottom of this scale. The number of participants from small to large. And in terms of the cost, it is, right, vice versa. When the participant is small, usually the cost is very high. But of course, the quality of the data will increase, right? More accurate, more precise. Now, if you are working with a large group of people, the cost usually is low when you apply just a questionnaire, right? So you can try to compare with, the differences between these two variables. But there are many methods. For example, heart rate monitor in terms of the energy expenditure, I just described in the first part of the lecture. And you have direct observation, all right? And accelerometers, this is very common method nowadays. And pedometer, the measuring the number of steps, very, very economical, because, you know, if you get it done with a manufacturer, the pedometer can go, the price can be very, very low. And if you, you know, if you are involved with health promotion, you can present a pedometer as a souvenir for the participant. And, you know, that will give them a very good incentive and raise their interest in watching their step and physical activity. I think it's a very good small device, and the cost of a pedometer is much, much lower than an accelerometer, usually used in a laboratory setting or in a free living setting. And for the subjective side, we have diary and logbook, right? You have to take care of the ecological or omentory assessment. And in terms of questionnaire or survey, there are some standards questionnaires available in the fields, okay? But you have to understand, as I mentioned, these are subjective methods. It really depends on the what kind of target group you are working with, okay? So I think this table can give you a summary and or ideas what method you should use. And I think this table is also very comprehensive. describing the characteristics of this subjective or objective method. Some of them have been described in the last slide, but it also highlights the strength and the limitation of this method. Just pick up the accelerometry here. All right. The strength of accelerometers includes substantial literature on application and analysis. So nowadays, the cutoff value you want to use have come with very strong evidence and literature. So you can choose the most suitable cutoff in interpreting the data. All right. Posture monitoring or other sensing equipment. So try to compare the strength and limitation, right? I also want to draw attention to the participant burden in terms of PA measurement. For accelerometer, well, as long as they are cooperative, the burden is actually very low. You just ask them to carry on their waist. Now, but if you are using active pulse, you have to ask the subject to put on the device on your thigh for 7 days. So the cooperation level is much, much higher than expecting this child to carry this accelerometer on their waist for 7 days, right? So the participant burden is also an important factor to be considered. Okay, so for the researcher burden is even higher. I think that is quite understandable for all of us as a teacher and researchers. You got to find the research grant to buy these accelerometers. In Hong Kong, I just told by my research fellow, the accelerometer, we can bargain with the guy we know, right? All of them buy the accelerometer from them in Glasgow, the UK. Is after the discount is 2,000 Hong Kong dollars per each, right? Usually you need maybe 30 or 50 for the participant to take turn for 7 days. And some of the children will keep it as a souvenir or just open it and see because they are so curious, and it will damage. So if you are talking just a number of 30 pieces of accelerometers, well, it's still a fortune for us and perhaps for you. So the research burden is very high. So you go to the low level for self-report questionnaires. But the problem is, as I mentioned, the quality of the data may not be as high as you expect. And eventually, you may not be able to convince the reviewer to accept your manuscript to publish in the journal, you know. Well, I have some slide to talk about the sedentary behavior or COVID-19. I just wonder whether I can finish this few slides before the time run out, because this is already 35. I'm 5 minutes overrun. Is it possible? I can finish this slide for another 5 minutes.
Okay, please.
Okay, yeah. The reason why I want to cover this part very short is that I want to, you know, I think like me, you would also be interested in knowing what happened during the COVID-19 in terms of PA and sedentary behavior. So that's why I want to draw your attention to this kind of research findings. So we published this short article last year just to compare the physical activity and sedentary behavior before and after the COVID-19. When we say after, actually the paper was published almost 1 year ago, because the COVID started at the beginning of 2020. So by June 2020, our group managed to collect the data and get it published within a very short time. So in this paper, we find that the sedentary lifestyle in young adults in Hong Kong during the COVID-19 pandemic and is very prevalent. And we believe the findings can help us understand how people change their behavior, all right, during this moment. So these are the results. We collect the information about the MVPA and the walking steps, walking minute per day. So you can see the difference between before and after the COVID. Well, at that time, at the time of the data collection, that was just 6 months into the COVID, from January to June 2020. So you can change the difference. I think if we try to, collect the data again over the past 15 months, I believe not only in our city, but in Indonesia, you probably have the same result, right? The extent of this reduction may be even higher, or I don't know. It depends on the location. If you are living in a remote village and the severity may not be high and the control is not tight, well, people still going outside, right? But if you're in a big city, in the capital city like Jakarta or what, I don't know, maybe you will see the similar findings. And in terms of sedentary behavior and sleep duration, right, significantly more hours spent on this sedentary behavior. When we break down those behavior on TV viewing, computer games, listening to music, paperwork, computer work, well, you can identify what specific activities the people were engaged during the COVID. In fact, similar findings have also been reported, right, in other countries and jurisdictions over time, from the very beginning of the COVID up to June last year, all right? So you can see a sudden drop, especially when the disease will start ramping severely from March to May, okay? So you can see the significant reduction in terms of daily step in different countries, okay? Especially, I think in this time, this is the first lockdown in many places. So you see the people not going out, trying to, avoid seeing people. So this is the percentage of change, right? When lockdown were imposed in different countries. So when people hiding away and just stay indoor, right? Isolation is the common scenario, and there are many consequences of inactivity to cardiovascular health, and we already covered this benefit. So in order to stay healthy, all right, we should try to engage in different activity, even we are indoor. And this article tried to summarize the metabolic impact of confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic due to modified diet and physical activity habit. So I think for elderly people and people with chronic disease, these are particularly important for them to maintain a healthy diet and physically active in order to keep the health benefit, all right? Because overfeeding, eating too much, and reduced PA are very common at the moment. So the American College of Sport Medicine have made this action statement. You can visit their website and download this poster on physical activity and sport, all right? Very specific recommendation in terms of physical activity and other preventive measure. So, and sleep as well. All right. So I hope you can have a look of this action statement from their website. So the conclusion of this our study is that the reduced PA level along with increased sedentary behavior have been identified as a serious concern during home confinement resulting from the pandemic. All right. More personalized, crisis-oriented PA program targeting vulnerable populations such as older adults and diseased individuals need to be established. So for health educators, I think these are the challenges, not only for older adults and diseased individuals. Actually, all of us are working with children. So, and children, right, they need to be well looked after. And what are we supposed to help them? I don't know. So you have to think about this, whether we have very effective intervention or program for them while they are still staying indoor. All right. So once again, I thank you very much for these opportunities to give these 2 lectures. And I, this is the campus of our university. I would like to invite all of you online. One day you can come to visit us. My department is just behind this tree here. Okay, this is around half of the size of our campus. Actually, there is another half at the back. So I am still looking for. We have 2 programs. I really want. I recruiting more students from your country and your friends in the Asian countries. I like Asian people. So because we share common characteristics. So if you happen to work in this part of the world, I hope you can introduce your friends to me. I'm looking for PhD students, research students who have very strong health science background, right? As you can see, I want to show you my my web page a little bit. So let me switch to another web page.
Okay.
Yeah, I share the screen. Yeah, this is me. And you see, my research interest is here. Nutritional and metabolic aspect of exercise and physical activity and sedentary behavior. So I hope I can work with students, PhD students with strong health science background who have attained a 6.5 English proficiency or for IELTS or TOEFL. Well, for the specific score, you can visit our graduate school requirement. So if you can come and accept it, the Hong Kong government will provide a studentship. You don't have to worry too much. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you applying for my PhD research. So if you want to know more about my work, you can read our publication, all right, and know more from our department. And we also run an MSc program here. So this is the Master of Science program. This is a self-finance program. So some of you who want to come over for a full-time study, this is a 12-month full-time study on sports science and physical activity, all right? So we have, we require students to complete a 24-hour unit under either the non-research track, that means students just take courses, or the research track, they have to complete a research project, okay? So all the details are provided in our website for this MSc Sports Science and Physical Activity. So once again, thank you very much for this opportunity to meet all of you. I welcome any questions regarding my PowerPoint or the study at my university. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Prof. Stephen. Your presentation so comprehensive and so clearly regarding the physical activity and how to measure, and you are also share your research in COVID-19. I guess some of students have curiosity about your material, and I will invite the students to asking a question directly, and you can raise your hand first, or anyone can chat in the chat room. Okay, does anyone have a question? You can raise your hand first, and you can turn on your video and turn on your microphone. Does anyone have a question? Okay. While we waiting to participant question, may I allow two questions for you?
Please.
Okay. Interesting about your material regarding the physical activity and how to measure it, and of course you have shared the sedentary behavior research network, and there are so comprehensively research, and I was visit the website, and I have more information about it, and my question is how to promote physical activity in physical education settings. Of course, maybe online or offline situation. Maybe for nowadays, we facing the online courses for PE class, but unfortunately, the PE teachers maybe haven't met the best way to sharing the PE class that will increasing the physical activity effectively for students, and how to I wonder how you customize your furniture that you able to work and present your presentation, and you standing, and how you customize, and maybe I wonder it will be implemented in our country or our places to customize our furniture that will promote physical activity.
Yeah, actually, this is a very good question, because I can't say I have a very good answer, because when we expect our children or students to go outside and exercise, but unfortunately, the environment at the moment doesn't allow us to do that. And we try to conduct the PE class online as well in Hong Kong, in the actually the whole academic years. Yeah, some students in primary school and secondary school, half of them actually were required to go back to the school and take a class. But actually, I think the classes are still abruptly disturbed, and let alone conducting the class online. So it's really challenging. But what I'm thinking here is instead of merely expecting to conduct the class, of course we have class time, we still impose the timetable and set aside 30 minutes or 45 minutes to expect all the students stand in front of computer and follow us to do some exercise. Now, but at this moment, I think, of course, within that 30 or 45 minutes, this is very important to expect our PE teachers to be effective in, designing some exercise for the students with different limitation at home. All right. So this is the first challenge. But I think besides these 30 or 45 minutes, this is very important at this time to enable our students to monitor their lifestyle, to use some knowledge or skills to monitor their physical health, physical responses. In this case, we mentioned about heart rate, right? Can we mention to our students, right, bringing up, especially they are young, increasing their increasing their heart rate can effectively reflect whether they are doing physical activity or exercise. I think this is very important. So on the one hand, of course, we hope they are happy. We emphasize the class should be funny and they are happy. But on the other hand, physical activity level is important, the exercise intensity. So we should emphasize to the teachers and the student whether within 35 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, can they help students achieve a certain level of physical activity. Okay, so we have two goals. On the one hand, very funny, keep engage them. On the other hand, applying this knowledge on exercise intensity and help them to monitor their heart rate. So for example, after just doing 10 or 15 seconds, all right, just jumping or stepping like this, help them to measure their heart rate immediately, compare with the resting rate, in order to help them get some idea about the exercise intensity, right? So they can design different type of exercise protocol with just a limited space. Because the reason why I emphasize this space quite often is that because you remember I mentioned that in Hong Kong, especially in some lower socioeconomic status household, the student living in public housing, government housing, and because of lockdown, all the family members stay home. And you are expecting them to do some kind of running and exercise. That may not be possible in our city. That may be possible in your place because you're a big country, all right? So the teachers have to be aware of this limitation on the one hand, but on the other hand, we don't forget the exercise intensity. So for example, if they just do 10, like student, now we just do 10 squat. When you squat, the hands up like this, right? 10 seconds, and then measure the heart rate. Now, for each exercise, if they can build in this kind of sports science knowledge, I think that helps. And reminding them, well, when you have opportunity, measure your sedentary time. You have a time clock. You can ask them to use their mobile phone and see how much time they sit down to play with their games, their computer games, and measure the heart rate. You know, now this is the moment applying the knowledge to facilitate this kind of learning. Not only for our students, I think for our colleagues, because if they are not aware of this, they will spend so much time working with their computer, right? And measuring the heart rate, I think is one thing. The other thing is, I don't know whether you are aware of in the laboratory, we have this RPE, the rating of perceived exertion, like a 10-point scale, all right? So just actually like the MET value, the 10-point scale. If 0 is very light, like sleeping, 10 in terms of the perceived exertion, 10 is very, very hard, run at the maximal speed. ask them, on the one hand, measure the heart rate. On the other hand, whether they can achieve 5 to 6, right, very safe zone comfort, especially when they walk or exercise with their parents, right? They may not know how to measure their heart rate with their pulse, but use this 10-point scale in mind, asking them, well, can you start with an exercise or any floor exercise at probably 4 to 6 or 7. If you walk with your parents or right, doing any exercise, don't push them beyond 7. So you can, apply this kind of knowledge and drill, taking into account all the limitation, but you can still be a very effective PE teacher. I think, yeah, I'm not saying this is easy, but this kind of home-based intervention, parent and children work together, I think it's a good time. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks all for your explanation, very briefly and comprehensive, of course. And maybe all of the participants as future PE teachers can apply it, implementing in their society, their class. And of course, for me, maybe I will take the opportunity to exercise with my children.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's very clearly, and to emphasize, of course, 2 points I got it from you. First, the classes have to be fun, and of course, still emphasize to intensity. Intensity. Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I want to add one more thing. I think for institution, we can collect this kind of material from our students. Not only allowing them or individual teachers to use their method. Now, if you are able to set up a platform for the professor, you can allow them to upload this teaching material or exercise protocol, and the professor can screen and pick up the most effective or funny video or method and share it with other people, of course, with the consent from the teacher, right? And then we can develop this portal for effective teaching. Yeah, this is a good time because sometimes the best teacher and enthusiastic teachers want to share the experience with others, right? So try to do that. It's not very expensive, but if you have a platform to upload this kind of teaching material to be shared with other students or teachers, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, we must try, and of course have the platform. Okay, thank you. It's for very
I saw another question.
Yeah, this is a question from Asha.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you can
yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
The olive oil in daily basis. The answer is a good choice. Yeah, is yes, because this kind of unsaturated fat is better than the saturated fat. So if you can use this olive oil in your diet, that is a good choice. Yeah. So for the other question is a promotion for the web link, right? The third one, what do you think about advance in technology and physical for children? Is there a need to limit the use? Well, yes, definitely yes. In my slide, especially if the ACSM action statement and other recommendation for prevention of sedentary behavior developed by Professor Mark Tremblay and other colleagues, we recommended that children should not use more than 2 hours, right, screen time. So try to limit their screen time. Usually when you say technology nowadays, I think you probably mean the handphone or other computer games or screen time. So try to limit it. But in terms of technology, actually is good because I just mentioned a lot of technology to be used in measuring physical activity. So if the technology can be effectively used in gauging or modifying their behavior and even enhancing their health practice, that would be great. But if the technology, right, deter them from living a healthy lifestyle, we should avoid them. You know, it really depends on how you make use of the technology. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope the explanation from Professor can answer your question, and I think it's clearly. Okay, Professor, it's very interesting about your presentation and of course the discussion. But unfortunately, the time it's limited, and maybe we can have another opportunity to discuss about the physical activity. And of course, don't forget that Professor Wong have shared that the opportunity to join the master program and PhD program in the University of Hong Kong, and very beautiful university. Okay, thank you, Professor Wong.
Thank you very much for teaching professional like your professor or lecturers. I hope to see you again, and please let me know if you want to visit our department and spend some time doing research with me. Yeah, we can try to collaborate and hope to find some opportunities for further our friendship. Okay?
Okay, thank
you. Stay
Professor
healthy and
Wong.
stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Wong.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and now for the participant, don't forget it's the end of the session of the main session, and don't forget to fill the presentation that already shared in the chat group. And of course, I will end the session, and I will give it to Master of Ceremony. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Mesa. And I would like to say thank you so much to Professor Stephen Wong that already gave a wonderful session with us and share their invitation to our students and also for our lecture here. If we want to go to continue our PhD, and for the student, maybe you like to continue your master in Hong Kong University, you can directly to email or maybe contact Professor Wong regarding the program. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the 4th day of the summer program. We will meet again tomorrow at the same time for the 5th day, and you will meet with Associate Professor Lisa Burnett from Deakin University, Australia, and she will talk about the importance of physical literacy and motor competence to children's physical activities. And I hope you're still excited to stay with us until the end of the summer program. And what I could say is I can assure you that this program will give you a better understanding of physical activity, gain new knowledge from the guest speakers and the lecturer here, and new networking, of course, and especially a huge beneficial for you as a future PE teachers. And before we leave this session, I'd like to announce you a couple information. I'd like to remind you again, as the requirement to get a certificate of this program, you should at least attend 80% from the total program. So don't forget to fill out the link attendance that we provide in the chat room. And secondly, I will share student international forms, both in the chat, in the WhatsApp group, and an email. And please kindly to complete the form as the administration purpose for Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. And the last time, I would like to invite you, as usual, to switch on your camera, and we have a photo session with us in this 4th day of this program. Okay, please show us your big smile, and we have okay, 2 screen here. So in this first screen, okay, look good, Bridget. Okay, please, if anyone still switch off your camera, please switch on your camera. Can show us your really nice smiles, and I would count, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, we move to the next slide, and we'll wait for the other participants. Okay, please have a smile, Vanessa. Okay, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much for your participating today, and I will remind you again at the end of this today's program, I will ask you to complete a summary for our topic today's. And again, on the behalf of the committee, I would like to send our gratitude for your participation and involvement in this meeting.